It's Monday, the 9th of October, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's get going. A very serious story for number 1. Israel is at war with Palestinian militants after Hamas attacked Israeli towns near the Gaza Strip, killing hundreds and abducting others.
Hamas gunmen pushed into more than 20 locations outside the Gaza Strip in Israeli territory. Now, the Gaza Strip is a thin run of land on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea. While it is disputed, it's been relatively peaceful as a Palestinian enclave for many years. The attack wasn't in Gaza, but up to 24 kilometres into Israeli territory. Gunmen moved into Israel, shooting down civilians and soldiers in a surprise attack on a Jewish holy day. Israeli media, citing rescue service officials, said hundreds of people were killed, thousands were wounded, making it the deadliest attack in Israel in decades. In a televised address, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who earlier declared Israel to be at war, said the military will use all of its strength to destroy Hamas's capabilities. But he did warn the war would be difficult. Last night, then, Hezbollah claimed responsibility for a rocket and artillery attack on Israeli-occupied land near the border with Lebanon, saying it was in solidarity with the Palestinian people.
Sean, the region's been relatively peaceful for a number of years now. How significant is what happened over the weekend?
Extremely significant. In many ways, more dangerous geopolitically than Russia's invasion of Ukraine because of the very close links between the US and Israel and the links between Hamas and other Arab nations like Iran. For example, Saudi Arabia and Israel, with the support of US President Joe Biden, are kind of in the process of normalizing relations. That's not going to happen anytime soon. If the US gets involved, it will have to divert weapons from Ukraine. That'll alter that conflict. Also, Israel was taken by surprise. They were not ready for the attack. Israeli citizens were also taken back into the Gaza Strip by Hamas. Israel will want to hit back hard, but it does need to keep in mind that Hamas has its citizens. For his part, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said Israel had the right to defend itself after the abhorrent attacks from Hamas, describing it as a very dark 24 hours.
All right, moving on to story number 2 now, Sean, and it's less than a week to go before the referendum on Indigenous constitutional recognition, and the Prime Minister was in full flight yesterday, pushing people to vote yes.
According to the Australian Electoral Commission, more than 2.2 million people have already had their say on the voice. Albanese said he's hopeful Australians vote yes because it will lead to better outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. When asked why so many people would vote no, he hit out at the No campaign for creating confusion. He hit out at some media coverage and he hit out at opposition leader Peter Dutton. Only 8 of 44 referendums have passed in Australia's history. Undoubtedly, the Yes campaign has much work to do if it's to succeed on Saturday.
Sean, story number 3, a boom weekend for house auctions with more than 2,400 going to market across capital cities, and the clearance rate was pretty solid at 71%.
The CoreLogic figures show that there were twice as many auctions over the weekend as the previous long weekend when the footy finals were held. Melbourne's clearance rate was an impressive 72.7%, up from 66% the previous week. Sydney was 69.7%, down from 71.7%. Brisbane was 72.3%, Canberra about 56.5%, and Adelaide a tick under 81%. The good news for sellers, maybe not buyers, is that prices are holding up. According to CoreLogic, home values are ticking up and will hit new highs later this year. Some other measures, in fact, have capital cities at new highs already.
Story number 4, rising interest rates and the cost of living crunch has left 1 in 20 mortgage households unable to cover essential expenses, according to new Reserve Bank analysis.
The proportion of struggling borrowers is up from just 1 in 100 in April last year before the Reserve Bank started lifting interest rates through to that 1 in 20. Now, the bank did a study and broadened its definition of essential spending. So it's food, transport, utilities, other stuff like health insurance, private school fees. The proportion of households whose income doesn't cover their costs, if you take that definition, is 13%. The scary thing is it's hitting low household income people much harder than anyone else.
Okay, last one, Sean. Story number 5. Exxon Mobil, which is one of the biggest oil companies in the world, wants to buy independent oil and gas producer Pioneer Natural Resources for $60 billion, which would be the world's biggest deal this year.
The problem for Exxon Mobil is that Joe Biden, the US president, doesn't much like the oil companies. His administration has tried to clamp down on gas prices that have touched new records in the US this year, and Biden's asked the US Federal Trade Commission to investigate those prices. Now, last year, he accused Exxon of making more money than God. Last year, Exxon made about $59 billion. Don't know how much God made, but he certainly has a point when it comes to Exxon making money. If the deal's successful, though, Exxon's output would increase to about 1.2 million barrels of oil a day.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Monday, the 9th of October, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't quite enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News, wherever you listen to podcasts. And that comes with a bunch of interviews and things as well. Today's interview is a fantastic one for investors. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.